Honorable Shri Romi Gauchan Thakali, Ministry of Commerce, Government of Nepal. His Excellency Shri Ranjit Rae, Ambassador, Embassy of India, Kathmandu to Nepal. Mr. Maha Prasad Adhikari, CEO, Office of the Investment Board, Government of Nepal. His Excellency Shri Chandra Kumar Ghimire, Secretary, Office of Prime Minister and Council of Ministers, Government of Nepal. Mr. Saurya SJB Rana, President NICCI. Mr. Gyanendra Lal Pradhan, Executive Committee Member, SAARC Chamber of Commerce and Industry. Mr. Budhaditya Mukharjee, Country Director and General Manager at Asian Paints, Nepal. Again, welcome to the Embassy of India and AIDIA, the seminar on PM Dahal's India visit, impact on bilateral trade, business and investment. This is the seminar which we organized today to review the Nepalese Prime Minister Dahal India visit, and the main aim of the seminar is to assess, analyze and predict the conclusion of the Nepalese Prime Minister's visit to India, and the event will highlight mostly the issues confronting to the trade, investment and business. And today we have with us Honorable Minister Shri Romi Gauchan Thakali, who kindly accepted our invitation to become the chief guest from the Government of Nepal, and he will be delivering the review marks on behalf of the Government of Nepal, and His Excellency Ambassador of India to Nepal, Shri Ranjit Rae, will be delivering the review marks on behalf of the Government of India. Then Shri Chandra Kumar Ghimire, Secretary from the Prime Minister's Office, will be delivering his review remarks from the Prime Minister's Office. Then from the Investment Board, Shri Maha Adhikari, and from the Chamber of Commerce Committee. Without any delay, I would like to request the Country Director and the General Manager of Asian Paints Nepal, Mr. Mukherjee, to give his presentation on about the Nepalese Prime Minister's visit to India, as he represents in Nepal as an Indian JP. Please welcome to Mr. Mukherjee.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, Honorable Minister, His Excellency. Can I start the presentation now, with your kind permission? Yeah. This is the objective given to me by Sunil. Of course, you know, you can go through it. It's quite a in-depth and detailed one. I feel from my perspective, I can take only a couple of points in this. That is the expectation for the future from industry perspective, and discover immediate, medium term and long term actionable areas actually. But before I get into that, let me get into a little bit of theory. Okay, allow me to digress for about 2 minutes. Just an understanding, given an equal choice, which city will be able to, prefer to stay and work? Dubai or Singapore? Which one is better? Suppose I ask you this question. Have we ever asked ourselves that today why some countries are called highly developed or least developed or developing? What are the factors? Is it roads, hospitals, schools? What is it? Suppose today if I ask you, which country is better? Norway or Finland? Australia or USA? What will you say? So this is a theory which was propagated by Nobel laureate Dr. Amartya Sen, which speaks about the development of countries, and it is measured in 3 axes. 1, life expectancy. 2, access to education. And 3, per capita income. UNDP adopted this, and they call this Human Development Index of the country. Now if you look at the Human Development Index, Norway, it is, as per this index, it is number 1 in world. So you have your answers. Again, coming back to my original question, Dubai or Singapore? Let's see the rank. Dubai is ranked 41 and Singapore is 11. So you have your answer. So now the question, of course, we'll ask, how does it relate to South Asia? But before that, let me just reiterate one small point. If you look at UNDP, they have further taken it forward and said that human development and human security goes hand in hand, and there are some 7 components which they have said, which is the tenets and pillar on which human development and human security evolves. They are the economy, food, health, environmental, personal, community and political. So what is happening in South Asia? Let's look at. This is the figure of South Asia 2013 and 2014. 2015 is not yet out. So this is where we stand. This is where Nepal stands in terms of Human Development Index. Now if we get into a deep dive, health, education, gross national income, inequality, gender development, multidimensional poverty index, employment to population, human security, trade, financial flow, mobility, communication. These are the parameters where they have measured Nepal. Then of course the next question comes in, that how is it relevant to industry and Nepal's development? Yeah? So these are the points where industrial houses comes in, where we come in, where the industries of Nepal comes in, where the growth and development of industries have a role to play on these parameters: gross national income, multidimensional poverty index, employment to population ratio, trade and financial flow as a percentage of GDP, and mobility and communication access to percentage of people. If industry does well, probably these parameters will improve and human development index of the country will improve. Now I will show you the GDP of 4 countries. I have taken China, our northern neighbor, India, our southern neighbor, Nepal of course, and Bangladesh, which is relatively a smaller country than Nepal than China and India. So, and of course, I did not say much about this. I do not have much to share. This is what I have to say. But before I conclude, I would like to share another data with all of you to take that home and think about it. See, world is moving at high speed and you have to run faster than the others, else you will be left behind. This was the HDI index for the last 34 years for Nepal, along with the rank. And you see, we have done tremendously well. From 0.286 we jumped to 0.548 in 34 years, which is almost double. But our ranks stick from 116 to 145. And you know which country is occupying that rank, which we were there at 1980? It was South Africa. Thank you. That's all I have to say.
Thank you, Mr. Mukherjee, for giving us insightful information on the Indian company's investment in Nepal and other relevant information to our audience. Thank you so much for joining with us today from the Indian JV. Now, I would like to request Mr. Gyanendra Lal Pradhan, Executive Committee Member, SAARC Chamber of Commerce and Industry. And for your note, he was in the team member of the Prime Minister delegation to India, and he has been working very well at the time for the energy sector. I hope he will give us very insightful information on water and energy sector development in between of Nepal and India in 5 minutes. Thank you so much.
Honorable Minister, Your Excellency, Secretary and friends. Actually, Nepal, India, is Prime Minister visit is very much sensitive because I'm watching for past many decades, right from Prasad to the second time of the present Prime Minister. There are many achievements, but many times we forget to count on achievement and we try to see the small mistakes, let's say, our expectations from one side to the side. Each and every time I see the Prime Minister visit is very, very successful, and in the same way, this time also very successful. Luckily, before Prime Minister visit, we were responsible in private sector way to work with the government, Nepal government, what can be the water and energy agenda for the Prime Minister visit. We met a couple of times our Prime Minister, and we are so happy. Nepal and India both agreed almost for all agenda which the private sector leads in the Prime Minister visit. Actually, I want to go a little bit back. Your Excellency, let me go in Nepal if you permit me. Actually, Kosi Treaty, Kosi Salota, कोशी संस्था हामी के भन्छौँ भने कोशी संस्था देशबेसीको संस्था भनेर संस्था गर्ने मान्छेले हामी गाली गर्छौँ। तर आई टेल यु कोशी जस्तो राम्रो संस्था यो देशले कहिले पनि भाषण गरेको छैन। साँच्चै भन्नु कसैले पढेकै छैन। हामी चाहिँ अब कागले कान लग्यो भन्दैमा पछि पछि भाग्छौँ। अहिले त फेसबुक र सोसियल मिडियाले हाम्रो रिलेसनलाई यति सेन्सिटिभ बनाइदिएको छ कि प्रत्येक नेगेटिभ कुराहरू सानसानो कुरालाई हामी हाइलाइट गरेर राख्छौँ। त्यसमा मलाई के लाग्छ भने नेपाल इन्डिया रिलेसन यति बलियो छ, यति स्ट्रङ छ र प्रत्येक भिजिटमा यति एचिभमेन्टहरू भएको छ कि त्यसलाई हामीले काउन्ट गर्नुको साथै मलाई लाग्छ हामी त्यसमा भएका साना साना कमी कमजोरीलाई कोट्याउने काम बढी गरेर जस्तो लाग्छ मलाई लाग्छ। र मैले त भनिहालेँ कोशी ट्रिटीदेखि नै हामी यो भिजिटलाई बढी सेन्सिटिभ गरेका छौँ। जस्तो मैले त इक्जाम्पल दिन चाहन्छु। अब भारतबाट एफडिआई ल्याउने कुरामा प्रधानमन्त्रीले बोल्नुभयो। अब त्यो मामलामा चाहिँ केही एफडिआई आउने सम्भावना देख्नुभयो। प्रधानमन्त्रीले असाध्यै राम्रो वक्तव्य दिनुभयो। आफ्नो ऐन कानुन चेन्ज गर्दा भए पनि म लगानीकर्तालाई आह्वान गर्छु भनेर। तर हाम्रो मिडियाले त्यसलाई अझ पनि स्वीकार गर्न सकेन। म भन्छु समस्या भारतीय लगानीमा छैन, समस्या चिनिया लगानीमा छैन, समस्या हाम्रो ब्युरोक्रेटिक समस्यामा छ, हामी आफैमा छ। त्यो हामी बुझ्दैनौँ। तर एफडिआईले हामी एक किसिमको किन यसको हुन सकेन भनेर बढी कमेन्ट गर्ने गरेका छौँ। अब नेपाल इन्डियाको कुरा गर्दाखेरि मलाई के लाग्छ भने नेपालको प्रब्लम विथ एनर्जी एन्ड ट्रेड इम्ब्यालेन्स। अब इन्डियाको कुरा गर्ने भए इट्स ए फ्लड, ड्राई मन्थ्स एन्ड बिग पावर। यी सबैको सोल्युसन कहाँ देखिन्छ भने हाइड्रो पावर देखिन्छ। इट्स ओन्ली सोल्युसन लाइज इन हाइड्रो पावर। वान हाइड्रो पावर प्रोजेक्ट क्यान ब्रिङ सच ए big, let's say, achievement for both countries. I just give you one example, Pancheshwar. Pancheshwar हामी कुरा गरेको 20 वर्ष भयो। अब प्राइम मिनिस्टर मोदी आउनु भएपछि अब हाम्रो नेपाल सरकार र भारत सरकारले चाहिँ यसलाई 6 महिनामा डिपिआर गर्नुको गरी डिपिआर तयार भइसकेको अवस्था छ। 5000 मेगावाट यसको चाहिँ इन्स्टल क्यापेसिटी पुग्ने अवस्था छ। यो एउटा प्रोजेक्ट बन्न सक्यो भने मलाई लाग्छ भने आई थिंक नेपाल इन्डिया रिलेसन विल बी डिपेन्डेन्ट। Actually, right now, I prefer to call Nepal-India relation is not dependent. It's too much open, and we try to see our negative parts rather than seeing the positive parts. But Pancheshwar can be one, let's say, garland, which will tie these two countries. And this project is so vital for India, and this project is so good for Nepal also. So I'm really hopeful in this visit. पञ्चेश्वरलाई तपाईँको टाइमली अगाडि बढाउने कुरा भएको छ। 20 वर्षमा नभएको कामहरू गएको 1 वर्षमा भएको छ। त्यस कारण चाहिँ यदि यही स्पिडमा जान सक्यो भने पञ्चेश्वर एउटा कडी बन्न सक्छ नेपाल इन्डिया रिलेसनको लागि चाहिँ साँच्चै डिपेन्डेबल कडी। भारत नेपालमा डिपेन्ड गर्नुपर्ने, नेपाल भारतमा डिपेन्ड गर्ने कडी चाहिँ पञ्चेश्वर हुन सक्छ। अब त्यस्तै कनेक्टिभिटी इज द बिगेस्ट प्रब्लम नेचुरली। अब त्यो कनेक्टिभिटीमा चाहिँ दुईटा प्राइम मिनिस्टरहरूले अग्री गर्नुभएको छ। यो गोरखपुर बुटोल लाइनलाई चाहिँ कनेक्सन अगाडि बढाउनु भनेर। त्यस्तै अब 132 केबीको लाइनहरू पनि अब नेक्स्ट यो भैरवा सेजको लागि एयरपोर्टलाई चाहिँ लाइन अगाडि बढाउने कुरा अगाडि बढेको छ इन्डियन लाइन अफ क्रेडिटबाट। मलाई लाग्छ त्यसले पनि हाम्रो औद्योगिकरणलाई निकै टेवा पुग्छ भन्ने मैले चाहिँ महसुस गरेको छु।
Mr. Gyanendra, for your review on the Prime Minister's visit to India, and especially your points are on the what I found is you have told us that BBIN model could be the best model for Nepal to enter in the another market for the energy, and you have mentioned that Prime Minister and the Nepalese bureaucracy hasn't presented the Ghimire project to the government of India and not shown interest to collaborate on that project. And now I have with us, with me, Mr. Chandra Ghimire. Hopefully he will respond on that project and his point. And he also mentioned that the visit is a milestone for the energy project. Information is you were also one of the advisors to the Prime Minister Dahal during his the first tenure. Hopefully you will be also giving more advice to him in coming days to extend the relation between Nepal and India, much more on the energy sector. Now I would like to call upon Mr. Saurya SJB Rana, President of Nepal-India Chamber of Commerce and Industry, to give his review remarks on behalf of the Nepal-India Chamber of Commerce and Industry. Yes, he was also one of the member during the Prime Minister delegation to India.
Your Excellencies on the dais, gentlemen on the dais, people from the press, etc. A lot of people were asking me questions. You know, exactly what did you achieve in this Prime Minister's visit? Now, a 25-point agreement was made, yet a lot of people are still incredibly confused. What was it? Because in a 25-point agreement, everything is slightly jumbled. And a lot of members of the press said, look, can we have some idea exactly what was said sector-wise? So I thought rather than talking generally, I'd go very specifically on this. The question was, is this a successful visit as far as trade, business, investment overall goes? I think it's a highly successful visit. And I'll tell you why. First, let's just look at the lines of credit that came onto the 25-point agreement. India has already given line of credit 1, line of credit 2. They have added a line of credit 3, we can say, which is $550 million in infrastructure. Of which we have sort of 330 million on roads, Thakali bridge, 200 million for irrigation projects. So we already have that sort of money coming in, which we are going to be using. There is also a $750 million reconstruction budget. A lot of the projects have not been identified, they are to be identified. So this is also available to Nepal. And as Nepalese, I know Chandra, Ghimire, the ministers here, we have to start allocating projects to come into this area. One was, of course, what was mentioned in the 25-point was the $50 million increase for contribution to 50,000 households from 2 lakhs to 3 lakhs. India would be there. There's also talk, although it's not there, a possibility of an additional LOC. If you look at Bulak Rajmarg Phase 2, cross-border transmission line to Budhaditya, Mukharjee 400 kV and Hetauda 400 kV, and the Polytechnic, these are also online. So India is helping us by giving us line of credits to open up. That came in the 25-point agreement. If you look at the sub-sectors, as it were, there's tourism, which was mentioned. There's an agreement to hold civil aviation talks for additional air routes. That is an important point for us. We're already seeing backlog and blockage. Both sides will take steps to fully implement the MOUs in cooperation with tourism, including development of tourism in form of Buddhist Hindu pilgrimage circuits. Very, very important to Nepal. And I know from NICCI's side, I can see our tourism convener, Mr. Rana here. You know, we are instrumental in making the MOU. We have the tourism people coming in February. We asked the press to come for that as well. So how do we take the tourism side forward? Because that also engages a lot of people in Nepal. And of course, traditional medicine, which is Ayurvedic, etc., was mentioned. On the trade and infrastructure side, one is the renewal of the trade treaty between India and Nepal in October 2016. We've agreed that it will be renewed for now. Any changes and developments we require would come at a later date. Today, myself and Hari Bhakta, we met with the head of the eminent persons group, Dr. Deshpal Thapa, to say that can trade also be bought in? And he had mentioned to us that maybe we can bring it on the 3rd phase, etc. So how can we improve our position on the trade treaty? Birganj ICPs. Now ICPs was the real point that we had brought out from our 4 chambers. So in that 25-point agreement, we have Roxor Birganj coming in, we have commencement of construction of Biratnagar, and we have expediting DPRs of our Nepal, Ganj and Bhairava. So whatever we required regarding the ICPs have come into the 25-point agreement. On roads and railways, we've looked at the Hulaki Rajmarg, Phase 2. We've looked at the rail link projects, I won't read them out. And we've talked about initiation of cross-border links, which are available. So this is related to roads and railways, which also came into the 25-point program. On energy, I will not talk much about it because Gyanendra has already talked about Dahal expediting. Construction of these transmission lines, which are critical. That's also part and part of the power and energy trade. Preparation of master plan for cross-border interconnection and the action plan for power trade 25. That's also in the 25-point agreement. Looking at how to operationalize the power trade agreement. Very important for Nepal. Hopefully we'll be able to move that forward as well. This is also a key issue.
Now, may I call upon Mr. Haribhakta Sharma, President, Confederation of Nepalese Industries, CNI, who was also one of the members during the Prime Minister's delegation to India, and he leads the industrial group in Nepal. I hope he will share his experience as well. Thank you.
Thank you, the Honorable Minister, Excellencies, distinguished participants from the private sector and public people here gathered in this hall. As usual, when Prime Minister's visit do take place, especially with countries like India, it is quite important for Nepal that we develop a better relationship at the political level. I believe that with the visit of the Prime Minister Prasad, the type of the linkage that Nepal should establish with Indian top-level leadership probably is now in a place where communication can take place. Prime Ministers from Nepal can communicate with the Prime Minister in India. And there have been some concerns also expressed in the joint communication. There had also been a lot of words which says that Prime Ministers had expressed satisfaction on the progress made so far. From a private sector perspective, I would prefer that what are the things which are being mentioned on time-bound execution level. These are very important for the private sector. So for me, I think the most important one, I believe, is the completion deadline of Bilateral's integrated checkpost. It says that by December 2016, this checkpost will be operational. If that happens, I think it will be more beneficial for improved trade between India and Nepal, and also for improving trade of Nepal with third countries, the overseas market. There have been a lot of bottlenecks, as my colleague Gyanendra said, on the transmission lines for import and or export of electricity from Nepal. As of now, we are only importing. We need a robust, very good infrastructure between two countries for the import of electricity. That means we need transmission lines which are capable enough to handle large volume of electricity going to either country, either import to Nepal, or when we would have surplus in future, probably we can export that to Indian market. To do that, to happen that type of trade, to make that type of trade possible, we need transmission lines in place. So a couple of points I see are based on that requirement. Both the Prime Ministers had very typically and categorically agreed that transmission line will be built. Some of the transmission lines needs to be upgraded. So this is one of the most important things I realized will have Nepal's economy in future. And from Confederation of Nepalese Universities, we have been talking about for a couple of years now that the infrastructure in Nepal is one of the poorest in South Asia. Whether it is roadways, whether it is electrical transmission lines, whether it is any other type of infrastructure that is required, including industrial estates, connectivity to industries, providing water supply to industries, everything is one of the poorest. I see one of the secretaries from the Prime Minister's office, probably Nepal needs to do more on infrastructure. That is where the line of credit which my friend Saurya was indicating. A lot is available. The question is how Nepal implements. How do you observe the fund that is being made available to the country? Honorable Minister, my request is we need to improve on the execution level. Let us utilize the fund that is being available for project management in Nepal. Let us do projects on time. Rather, we should try the completion of the projects in time, maybe 5 months before. Why we want to delay every project in this country? What is the reason? The system that exists in the government today must answer this particular type of delay, which is costing a huge amount of money for our country. Every project must be completed on time, whether it is small, very big, or very, very large. Only then our economy will go further. And then my final impression is that we have been accompanying the Prime Ministers in many countries. Together we go with the Ministers and Prime Ministers. Probably we need to realize that Nepal is one of the largest trading partners for India also in South Asia. We are importing more from India, but let us not forget, in South Asia, Nepal imports the largest from India. Compared to any other markets in South Asia, Nepal imports more goods and services from India. That means we are one of the most significant trading partner for India. So if you look into that perspective, Nepalese government should also understand that how we can facilitate. Especially Nepal is paying more money on services tax in India, which is not applicable for export to Pakistan, to Sri Lanka, to Bangladesh. Why Nepalese businesses should also pay that extra money if we import from India? I request the Excellency, we have also raised this issue to the government, which probably needs to be addressed. And secondly, the due renewal date of our trade and transit treaty is in October 2016. We at least want to see some changes on that particular treaty if possible, because the communique says that it would be probably renewed as what it is without any modification or changes.
Good afternoon. Mr. Chair, then Honorable Minister for Commerce, Mr. Romi Gauchan, Excellency the Ambassador, Mr. Ranjit Rae, respected figures who are on the dais, media fellows, ladies and gentlemen. Let me start with some highlights before I really jump into the water. If we follow certain research data, this suggests there is contesting views whether bilateralism or multilateralism, they would be a better way. Some people, they are in favor of multilateralism, some people are in the favor of bilateralism. Whereas if we look at the data of South Asia, and especially at the data of India's trading relationship with its neighboring countries, it favors India has gained larger advantage, that is with the neighboring countries, and bilateralism, with the idea, with the concept of bilateralism. First, there is one example, Sri Lanka, Indo-Sri Lankan FTA, when made some years back, that always among the scholastic society or figures, that always been connoted or taken as the best example of the success of bilateralism. Why I am citing this data and this example is ultimately we have to work very closely together when it comes to Nepal. Obviously, between Nepal and India, we have to put our total emphasis, our total strength so as to harness advantage that is there out available. As said, India needs strong neighbors. This is not what my sentence. This is what I have picked up from some beautiful articles. So as said, India needs strong neighbors. A weak region will be a liability in the long run. It has a great importance, the sentence itself has. So we all are very much emotionally, sentimentally, very much together, Nepal side and India side. So that's why, despite all the circumstances, we all are now in favor how we could harness the potential advantages that lie with these two countries, neighboring countries. Let's come out of famously quoted the Gujarat Doctrine, which was very, very pushing some years back. Then I like to recall one very famous figure, internationally respected figure, and he's from India, Mr. Manmohan, Dr. Manmohan Singh. He had once announced before the end of 2007, India will allow the LDCs, its LDCs in neighboring countries, duty-free access to its markets. Why I'm citing this, there is a potential ground where Nepal also can play a very active role. So there is a playing field where we should play actively. I'm not citing other data, but one more thing I would like to the site here, PTA, so 2014, that was the year we held the agreement. However, it is yet to come the major breakthrough, which is in my mind, certain protocols are yet to come into effect or it's a full swing. So why I am giving my emphasis with this example, hydro still can be a big game changer. That is for making Nepal's trade with India very, very favorable. Of course, there are some other potential areas or sectors, like one gentleman before when he spoke during his presentation. Agro-processing is one of the areas. Similarly, tourism, obviously, another area. But still, the game changer, our game changer, it is a hydro sector.
FICCI, CII, ASSOCHAM has organized a very good program in Delhi during the visit of the Prime Minister. And why not we invite FICCI people, then CII people, ASSOCHAM people, PSG, Association Group, and other business community. And at least we can hold once a year one investment summit, which I can put agenda to the Secretary and the Investment Board CEO and the Honorable Minister and the other Chamber of Commerce Society. Without any delay, now I would like to call upon Mr. Maha Prasad, Adhikari, CEO, Office of the Investment Board. He was also one of the members of the Prime Minister visit during the Prime Minister visit to India, and I was also there, and I have seen very good presentation which he had delivered to the business community of India.
Honorable Minister for Commerce, Romi Gauchan, respected Secretary, Mantri Parishad, His Excellency Ambassador to Nepal from India, Ranjit Rae, Excellency President CNI, Vice President, President NICCI, Gyanendra, Country Director, Asian Paints, distinguished guest, media person, good afternoon. At the outset, I would like to express my gratitude to the organizer, particularly the Embassy of India, Kathmandu, and AIDIA, for the opportunity given to me to speak a few words on this August gathering. As we all know, the recent visit of the Right Honorable Prime Minister to India was some sort of goodwill visit. It was focused to strengthen and smoothen the relationship, bilateral relationship, particularly on the economic agendas. We all aware about the joint statement. It is quite clear that the current visit is more particularly relevant in terms of the bilateral trade, business, and investment promotion. Being a witness, as a member of the delegates of the visit, I feel that the visit is really an instrumental one to promote the investment as well as to facilitate trade and business here in Nepal. During the visit, both sides agreed to make the Intergovernmental Committee more effective in the days ahead. The operationalization of power trade agreement and utilization of line of credit in a major infrastructure project, pipeline, railway links are some of the points directly related to trade, business, and investment. The joint statement is also mentioned about the mega projects progressing in Nepal, including RM3, Upper Karnali, etc. Such a high-level feeling and interest on the complex project would definitely encourage all of us stakeholders to materialize the project's objectives in a timely manner. As Moderator Chair mentioned, the meeting with the Indian business community was another occasion to understand the value of private investor, particularly Indian investments in Nepal. During the conference, we had the chances to explain about the performance of FDI in Nepal, particularly the Indian investment in Nepal, Most of the investment in Nepal are doing extremely well. I feel that the growing interest among Indian business community to explore various sectors for investment in Nepal. Business leaders at that time were addressed by Right Honorable Prime Minister, where he gave a clear message about the investment climate in Nepal. We are welcoming FDI with full efforts. If the efforts and our support you feel is not sufficient, let us know. We'll make it more investment friendly. That was the clear message given by the Right Honorable Prime Minister at that time, which was well taken and well received by the business community during the conference. Business people in India were highly impressed with the address by the Right Honorable Prime Minister. They are interested to establish some sort of center of excellence in different sectors such as food and agriculture, SMEs collaboration, etc. Both sides directed the concerned agencies to hold India-Nepal Joint Commission meeting in 2016 itself. Hopefully this meeting will convene at the earliest. Both sides also discussed the eminent person group on Nepal-India relation will suggest ways to improve the overall relation between the two countries. Finally, there were a number of issues which were already explained here, agreed upon to further boost the economic relation between Nepal and India, between us two neighbors. The onus is now with us at the bureaucratic level to be more responsible and to be more accountable to further expedite upon the agreements and get mutual benefit from such agreements.
Thank you, Sri Maha Prasad Adhikari, CEO, Office of the Investment Board in Government of Nepal, for your review remarks from the Investment Board of Nepal. As you know, Investment Board of Nepal is one of the most important organ of the Government of Nepal to promote the investment and prepare the investment environment in Nepal. His Excellency Sri Ranjit Rae, Ambassador, Embassy of India.
Your Excellency, Honorable Commerce Minister, Mr. Romi Gauchan, Secretary in the Prime Minister's Office, other dignitaries on the dais, distinguished guests. You know, I want to set the context for the issues that we're discussing. When you talk about foreign relations, foreign policy, it's a continuum. It's a process. Relations are built, developed over a period of time. Every visit contributes in some way to strengthening relations. So I think that is the way that you should try to understand the implications of this visit. Point number one. Second point I want to say is, I've been here 3 years now. Between 2014 and 2016, do you know the extent of exchanges that we have had? We've had 2 visits of Prime Minister Modi. We have had 5 visits of Honorable External Affairs Minister Sushma Swaraj. We have had 2 visits of Nepalese Prime Ministers to India. Can you imagine, in the course of 3 years? We've had the first Joint Commission meeting and we're going to have the second one. In the last few months, between August and November this year, we've had the visit of the Honorable Deputy Prime Minister of Nepal to India. We've had the visit of the Foreign Minister of Nepal to India. We've had the visit of His Excellency the Prime Minister of Nepal to India. We're going to have another visit of the Foreign Minister of Nepal to India in October for the Joint Commission, which is chaired by the 2 foreign ministers. We're going to have another visit of His Excellency the Prime Minister of Nepal to India for the BRICS BIMSTEC Summit in Goa, mid-October. We are then going to have the visit of His Excellency the President of India to Nepal in early November, and the visit of the President of Nepal. So can you imagine the extent of the relationship? I don't think India has had this kind of exchange with any other country in the world. And I doubt if Nepal has had this kind of exchange. So what does this tell you? It tells you the importance that both countries attach to this relationship. It's a very, very important relationship. And both countries are doing their utmost to take this relationship to a new level. So please understand this context. It's not one visit here or there. In the last few years, from both governments, there's a very strong desire to do something concrete. Number one. Or number two. I'm losing track of the points. The third point I want to make is, you see, there's a lot of political baggage attached to the India-Nepal relationship. And I think this political baggage in today's world is of no use. It's of no use to Nepal, it's of no use to India. Because this political baggage actually hampers economic cooperation between the two countries. So I think we should be more pragmatic. And one of the very significant elements of this visit in particular was that this should be a problem-solving visit. This should be a visit where the targets that the two governments have set should be achieved. You see what happens in Nepal, I hear constantly, India projects le leta hai, us pe baith jata hai, implement nahi karna chahta, and nothing gets done. But in India we hear a different story, कि हम project लेते हैं और नेपाल में कोई help नहीं करता, facilitate नहीं करता, there are so many issues, so projects get delayed. So there are two sides to this. We both agree that projects get delayed, but the reasons as to why they get delayed are different from the two sides. So either you sit back and be happy with the state of affairs and do nothing about it, or you adopt a problem-solving approach, sit together and see what is the problem, get all the stakeholders involved, and then arrive at a solution. So in India, for our projects in India, we have the same problems. So our Prime Minister has set up a system called Pragati, where he monitors himself all major projects that are being undertaken by various ministries of the government of India. And the stakeholders in these meetings are the secretaries, the state governments, the companies that are executing the projects. And the whole effort is to resolve problems. So we thought, and we're very happy that this is there in the communique, that why don't we do something similar for the projects that India is doing in Nepal? So otherwise, you will say that, India is not doing this, we'll say, Nepal is not doing this, and this keeps, this tu-tu-me-me keeps going on all the time. It's of no use, nothing gets resolved. So why don't we meet on a regular basis, get all the stakeholders together, see what are the problems. If for instance it is Arun 3, the company tells us land acquisition is a problem, but perhaps Prasad, Adhikari ji may have some other issue. So let's meet face to face and resolve these problems.
His Excellency, for your constructive review remarks on the Prime Minister's visit to India, and I still remember something like after the visit, Prime Minister KC, we organized a seminar on the review in March 21, and today is September 28. And at that time, His Excellency mentioned three things. One is common business strategy between India and Nepal, and second one was trade target, which at that time he said about his experience in Vietnam as ambassador and how he worked there. And third was the road show, and fourth one was the connectivity, that is the bus service. After that, I think we have now two bus service from Kathmandu, Delhi, then from Pokhara to Varanasi and Pokhara to Delhi, and recently the new bus route has been started from down to Delhi. And one thing I would like to say here is, most of the 90% is people from Dahal district, they used to go to Lucknow or other areas of India for the treatment. And now the bus service has been started, and it is a very good way of connectivity. And another one information is regarding the road show. I think now Nepal Tourism Board has started the road show in India. That is one of the information which some days ago I was looking at the television, and they were working in India and they were having the road shows there. And I think now we have to develop the common business strategy and the trade target. These are the very important points which has been highlighted by His Excellency. Thank you once again, His Excellency, for giving us very constructive remarks and partnering with us. Now, I would like to request Honorable Minister Sri Romi Gauchan Thakali, who is a Minister for Commerce, to give the review remarks about the Prime Minister's visit to India, as he looks the Commerce Office, and he belongs to the Mustang district. Please welcome to Honorable Minister for Commerce. Thank you.
Mr. Moderator of the program, Mr. Secretary of the Office, His Excellency Ambassador of India to Nepal, Mr. Ranjit Rae, senior officials, President and Vice President of Umbrella Association of Private Sector, friends from diplomatic circles, distinguished guests, journalists, and ladies and gentlemen. Sorry, since I was in Mustang giving a lot of passion, my throat is correct. Namaskar. First of all, I wish to extend my sincere thanks to Asian Institute of Diplomacy and Internal Affairs and the Embassy of India in Kathmandu for jointly organizing this seminar. I feel privileged to be invited by the organizers to this wonderful program as the chief guest. Before I enter into the main theme of today's discussion, I express my sincere appreciation to AIDIA for its constructive engagement in the field of foreign policy analysis and facilitating diplomatic dialogues. I also wish to thank all eminent speakers who took floor before me and delivered rich thoughts on the given topics. Coming to the main issue of today's discussion, I'm confident that the recent state visit of Right Honorable Prime Minister of Nepal to India has remained fruitful in further strengthening bilateral relations and building mutual trust and confidence. In my personal view, the key message of this state visit is that present government of Nepal attaches great importance to maintaining its good relations with India as being the nearest and closest neighbor in South Asia. Since Nepal and India share mostly the same culture and rich Oriental civilization, issues and friendship between two nations, since time immemorial of history has been cordial, vibrant, and deep-rooted. The relation between Nepal and our neighborly country, India, is not confined to political or diplomatic front only, but goes beyond and is rooted to people level. The bilateral relations between Nepal and India are based on trust, mutual cooperation, coexistence, and good understanding. History has shown that both nations maintain a very cordial, cooperative, and harmonious bilateral as well as diplomatic relations even in the time of difficulty. India is not only Nepal's closest neighbor, but also a big trading partner and development supporter, as well as big market for the goods and services produced in Nepal. On the other side, Nepal is also a big importer of the goods and services produced in India. In view of this reality, maintaining harmonious relations between two countries are indeed imperative to promote the sustained economic well-being of people of both sides. In light of this, Nepal attaches great importance and remains fully committed to maintain and further strengthen already existed cordial and harmonious relations with India. During the state visit, Right Honorable Prime Minister of Nepal, in addition to emphasizing on early and timely implementation of all agreements and understandings made earlier, also expressed the willingness of Government of Nepal to explore new areas of mutual cooperation and partnership and to take age-old and unique friendly ties to new heights. On the other side, Right Honorable Prime Minister of India not only overwhelmingly welcomed Nepalese Prime Minister and his entire delegation, but also expressed and reiterated an willingness of the Indian government to further expand bilateral cooperation for the socio-economic upliftment of Nepal. During the visit, two prime ministers reviewed the entire gamut of bilateral cooperation, directed all bilateral institutional mechanisms to convene timely and to implement the decisions effectively. It is expected that this directive will give impetus to many cost and time overrun projects being implemented under Indian support in Nepal. With respect to promoting bilateral trade and investment, this visit has tried to address some of Nepal's key concerns, such as reducing galloping trade deficit, promoting Indian investment in Nepal, building trade infrastructures, and adopting trade facilitation measures, early completion of integrated checkposts, ICPs, to facilitate smooth and faster movement of people and goods. Expediting construction of cross-border rail projects being implemented in several points along the border. The visit also addressed Nepal's concern relating to expanding air services, including ensuring additional air routes. These are a few examples, and there are several other important projects on which understanding have been made between two sides to implement them effectively through making appropriate arrangements.
Honorable Minister Sri Romi Gauchan Thakali for giving us your valuable time and giving us a very constructive remarks on the Prime Minister's visit to India.
Honorable Minister, Your Excellency, I am Govinda Pokhriel. I want to point out three things. First of all, I was not part of the delegation, I was just following the press. I think the goodwill visit by our Prime Minister to India was successful in building confidence at the political level. And confidence at the political level is very important for bringing in investment in Nepal. Number one. Number two is, I don't really discuss communique, because the communique signed by the Prime Minister this time and the Foreign Minister a year ago are practically the same. So what is important is the confidence at the political level, understanding at the political level, that is important. Other thing is, I want to just talk about the delays in the project implementation. We have been monitoring this time, the government has been monitoring this project progress. I mean, ever since the project started, only long time back, But then, probably we need some kind of civil involvement, the civil society involvement to poke if anything is being delayed. So probably we should work in that front with CNI and other business institutions of this country and India. And third point I want to stress is that about water resources. I don't talk hydropower, I talk water. Because both India and Nepal are water stressed. In Nepal, we have plenty of water, but the water is down in the valley, and the people live up in the mountain. So we are water stressed. In India, the growing population needs water, and we have plenty of water. We are very rich in water, but in monsoon, which is not an asset, it's a curse. We are flood-rich country, not water-rich country. So, I mean, the opportunity for us is to cooperate in the sector of water resources to convert the curse of floods into cash in terms of food security. And food security is very important because of the growing population in both the countries. We have very high population density, and food security is very important. Navigation is the second sector, and of course, energy is a byproduct of food security and all that. Thank you very much.
I have one question for Surya sir. When you are proposing idea like BBIN, when Bangladesh, Bhutan, India and Nepal can come together for the joint investment and trade, do you think is it possible? Because as far as my knowledge is concerned, India is more happy to deal with these all regional players bilaterally than in the multilateral forums. So would it be remain as a hypothesis only, or it is going to be into a reality? My second question is that when we are talking about the trade and investment, why are we only bothering with India? Why don't we talk about the trilateral trade and trilateral investments, where Chinese company can come together, where Indian company can come together in Nepal, and can jointly or trilaterally invest for the development of Nepal? And my last concern is that definitely I'm sure that the PM Dahal visit to India is successful for certain reasons. As you mentioned that PM Dahal is very successful to drag someone from India. This is not something new that Nepalese political environment is doing. It is very old phenomenon. So what is something new that this government or this visit has brought in Nepalese landscape? Thank you very much.
I would like to thank Mr. Ranjit Rae for the excellent remarks. So we do not have the problem with India, but we have a problem with Nepalese, who says the Nepalese, who wants the Nepalese citizenships, and they do not work on behalf of Nepal. So India policy is good, we don't have national policy. This is our problem. My questions is for Ranjit Rae. How close we are socially and culturally? I'm not an Indian, but I can speak Hindi. Hindi is in hot debate in Nepal, so I would like to speak in Hindi. Your Excellency Ranjit Rae sir, आपके प्रेजेंटेशन में मैंने सुना बहुत बार आपने टाइम के इश्यू पे बोला क्यों लेट हो रहा है, क्या हो रहा है. आप बोलते बोलते लास्ट वक्त में फिर कहा मेरा टाइम ज़्यादा हो गया, ऐसे ही बोल रहे थे. फिर सबके प्रेजेंटेशन में सुना टाइम का इश्यू बहुत आ रहा है, जोरदार रूप से उठ रहा है. लेकिन आपका टाइम का शेड्यूल देखा मैंने 5 मिनट का था आपका, लेकिन मैं वेट किया 20 मिनट से भी ओवर चला. तो मैं सोचता हूँ एक देश का एक राजदूत है, इतना विद्युत सभा में आके बोलता है, लेकिन टाइम के इश्यू में वो पंक्चुअल नहीं है. देखिए देश भी तो वैसा ही होता है ना, जैसा लोग होते हैं देश भी तो वैसा होता है. We Nepalese are same, Indian are same on regards of time. That's why we are working on this time matter. We have one school, social engineering school Nepal. This issue basically focus about the time issue. Time is important, time is right. India and Nepal time को वैल्यू नहीं कर रहा है. आपके विचार में क्या है, इसमें कुछ जानना चाहता हूँ. Thank you very much.
My name is Samveda and I'm a student of diplomacy. I want to ask a question to the Secretary of PMO office, Mr. Chandra Ghimire, that in the joint communique that was recently published after the PMO visit, in the point number 11, there is written that the two countries have similar thoughts about, similar problems about the international issues. And this has become a big debate in the media, in the different forums and all. So even I want to ask the Secretary that does not it question about the sovereignty of both the nations, telling that both the countries have same problem and same issues, are we the same country? So is it the thing about sovereignty or is it something else? If the Secretary could make us clear about this, it would be better.
Role of civil society in project monitoring. I think the media also plays an important role. But it should be a constructive role. It should not be a role which is aimed at name calling and scoring a point. It should be constructive and it should be aimed at highlighting the issue and then trying to resolve it. So this is the point I wanted. BBIN. I think you are not understanding the student from the law school. That India has also changed. Sometimes I feel that, see, people don't realize that countries evolve, they mature, they develop. India pre-1991 is very different from India post-1991. India is now, a global economy. It is globally integrated. And I think we attach a lot of importance to sub-regional cooperation. In fact, two major achievements of this BBIN framework. One is this agreement on cross-border power connectivity, and the second is on the motor vehicles agreement. you know, the day is not far when, for instance, you know, you could travel from, I don't know, Nepal through India, Bangladesh, Bhutan without any major hassle. So, you know, it's very, very important. So I think those days are now gone that, you know, we will deal bilaterally because we will get a better deal. You know, all that is irrelevant now because these better deals you're talking about are peanuts in the overall scheme of things. More important is to have good cooperation, good connectivity, and, you know, the whole region will benefit. And, you know, as somebody said, that if you don't have a stable region and a prosperous region, then it's everybody's fault. So, you know, please, you know, see how the world is changing, how India is changing. It's not static. So sometimes I feel that, you know, you are thinking of India 40 years ago, 30 years ago. India today is very different, very dynamic. Trilateral cooperation, why not? If Indian and Chinese companies want to work together in Nepal, great. Who is objecting to it? Nobody is objecting to it. But, you know, here it becomes a huge political issue. India and China must work together in this project or that project. But, you know, if it is a natural outcome and the private companies can make profits by working together, why not? We have a lot of Chinese companies working in India. We have a lot of India-China joint ventures that can come and work in Nepal. Who's stopping them? Nobody's stopping them. But my sense is here it's very much a political issue. You know, it's not an economic issue alone. Here it's like big political, geopolitical strategy and so on. On time I've already answered. And I agree we should be more brief in our remarks.
As far as point 11, which is a part of the joint communique is concerned, we all are aware, Maha, our ministry, that is the designated ministry, and on behalf of government of Nepal, they have very clearly stated what is the fact and what is the matter, particularly on that issue. And that is for public consumption already uploaded and publicly it's already circulated. So I request you all to follow that statement which is out there. Thank you so much.
Yeah, regarding the BBI, and actually I'll let Gyanendra ji answer that because he was talking on that on behalf of STAR. Question on what is new that has come out of this treaty. Well, I think how I'd like to put it is that FNCCI, CNI, NCC and NICCI gave a single agenda to the Prime Minister before he left regarding ICPs, hydro, etc. For the first time in a communique of any sort, everything requested by the business community jointly was in that communique. That's a big thing for us, point one. Point two, the only thing that didn't come out was on general service tax. We had requested whether Nepal can get relief from certain tax that the Indian side couldn't put in because the GST is not even right now applicable in India.
Actually, India is very big as compared to Nepal. And in BBI, there are two agendas. One is power connectivity and another is road connectivity. Nepal is first to get the maximum benefit, actually. Then Bhutan, then Bangladesh, then the last is India. Because India is connected everywhere. India is north to south, east to west. There isn't any connectivity with any other. Nepal is getting the maximum benefit. And if you see Southeast Asia, if you see EU, if you see Nordic country, if you see BRICS, it's time to work together now. India want to go together with Nepal, so SAARC not possible. Past many decades we are trying. I'm also executive member of SAARC. We're talking, all the problem is coming, nothing is moving ahead. So maybe sub-regional concept, BBI is the best. And it's moving so fast forward. If you see the connectivity, we 4 countries already connected now in many 1,000 megawatt. If you see the road, the connectivity is going fast forward. So what I believe, this BBI can be something to copy down the Southeast Asia development to the South Asia. So this is big opportunity for first for Nepal and last for India. Thank you.
यसको मतलब उहाँले हिन्दीमा बोल्नुभयो उहाँ इन्डियन होइन भाषा हाम्रो कम्युनिकेसनको एउटा माध्यम मात्रै हो हामी इङ्ग्लिसमा बोल्छौँ नेपालीमा बोल्छौँ हिन्दीमा बोल्छौँ यो 11 को पोइन्टमा जुन बहिनीले कुरा उठाउनु भएको छ यो कुरो के हो भने जस्तो हामीले युरोपियन युनियन जस्तो नेटोलाई हेर्न सक्छौँ युरोपियन युनियनहरूलाई हेर्न सक्छौँ स्पेसिफिक इस्युहरूमा स्पेसिफिक कजको लागि बाइलेटरल लेभलमा रिजनल लेभलमा इन्टरनेसनल लेभलमा चाहिँ कोअपरेसन गर्दाखेरि चाहिँ हामी सँगसँगै जान्छौँ है भन्न खोजेको यसले पार्टिकुलर चाहिँ हाम्रो कुनै पनि त्यसको सोभरेन अथवा सोभरेन अथोरिटी अथवा पोलिटिकल म्यानेभरिङलाई इन्करेजमेन्ट गर्न खोजेको न त्यसरी चाहिँ लिनु पनि हुँदैन भन्ने आग्रह गर्न चाहन्छु धन्यवाद
At the end of the program, first of all, I'd like to sincerely apologize for having stressed the schedule of the program because we have a very important topic that is PM Dahal's India visit and impact on bilateral trade, business and investment. Now, I'd like to call CEO Mr. Sunil KC at the front of the dais because we are giving the token of law to the distinguished guest speakers and chief guests. And I'd like to request Mr. Viju Karmacharya and Sajinaji to present the token of law before CEO Sunil KC. First of all, I'd like to request Mr. Budhaditya Mukharjee. I think he has already left the program. And similarly, Mr. Gyanendra Lal Pradhan, Executive Committee Member, Nepal, representing SAARC Chamber of Commerce and Industry. Mr. Gyanendra Lal Pradhan, please. Similarly, I'd like to request I'd like to thank on behalf of Asian Institute of Diplomacy in National Office and also on behalf of Diplomacy of India. Thank you very much.